All right, so get this. Today we're diving into something that, well, it sounds a little bit like, a sci-fi movie, the Asian century.
Hmm.
Like you think flying cars, robots, and Asia kind of running the whole show globally.
Right.
But here's the thing. This isn't science fiction.
Not at all.
It's happening right now.
Yeah.
We've been looking at some analysis, and it argues the Asian century isn't some, like, future prediction.
Hmm.
It's already here.
It is, and it's striking how many people, especially in the West, seem to be, I don't know, maybe overlooking this massive shift.
Right.
I mean, it's like, watching this giant wave building up on the horizon, but we're all just kind of staring at our feet.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit.
Sure.
We have this idea of the Asian century,
Yeah.
and our source material is saying it's not some far-off event.
Right.
It's happening right now.
Yeah.
And yet it seems like a lot of folks, especially in the West, are missing it.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well,
Why are we so oblivious to this, like, massive change happening?
it really is a blind spot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if we're still looking at the world through like an old, outdated lens.
Yeah.
Imagine trying to like navigate a city, a bustling city, with a map that's like 100 years old.
Right.
You'd be completely lost, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it's like ignoring the rise of Asia.
I see.
We're missing out on understanding these like massive forces that are shaping, the world
Right.
and our place in it.
So it's not just about, like, missing out on the news cycle.
Mm-hmm.
It's missing out on understanding where the world is going, like the direction everything's headed.
Absolutely.
Okay, so to really get a handle on this, we need to get a sense of the historical context.
Yeah.
The analysis we're looking at mentions that for most of the past 2,000 years, China and India, they were like the big economic powerhouses.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how does that history inform what's happening right now?
Well, I think it really challenges our perception of what's normal, Because the past 200 years, with the West kind of being dominant, that's actually, that's an anomaly.
Oh, wow.
If you look at the grand scheme of things.
Right.
So what we're seeing now isn't so much a revolution, it's more like a return to like a historical kind of equilibrium. Almost like a pendulum,
Yeah.
It swings one way, then swings back.
So it's not about Asia taking over.
Right.
It's more like things are rebalancing globally.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
And this analysis points out that part of Asia's rise is because they've embraced a lot of principles that, well, the West often championed, like free market economics.
Right.
So what does that tell us about what's happening here?
Well, it's a really interesting example of adaptability, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, while some nations in the West are like, questioning these very principles,
Right.
a lot of Asian societies, they've adopted them,
Mhm.
refined them even.
Right.
And it's really fueled their economic growth.
It's interesting.
It makes you wonder,
Yeah.
who's actually learning from whom in this globalized world?
Right. It's almost like the student surpassing the teacher in a way.
Exactly.
And it makes you wonder what this means for the future of, global economics.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if Asia keeps, leveraging these principles to their advantage, what kind of ripple effects could we see?
Well, I think the impact is going to be multifaceted.
Okay.
But one key area is the rise of the Asian middle class, which is set to become the largest in the world.
Wow.
And this isn't just a statistic.
Right.
This signifies a massive new market
Yeah.
for goods and services,
Right.
which is going to change the whole dynamic of like global trade and consumption.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting for our listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine the possibilities here.
Yeah.
Think about the new products and services that will be developed, to cater to this huge new middle class.
Right.
And the job opportunities, the cultural exchange. It's a whole new world opening up.
It is.
But, the analysis we're looking at, it also throws in a little bit of a cautionary note.
Mm-hmm.
It says that Asia can't afford to become complacent. So the speaker really emphasizes that these geopolitical tensions are a significant risk to this continued growth.
Yeah.
So what exactly are we talking about here?
Right.
And what could happen if these tensions escalate?
It's almost like,
Yeah.
building this impressive skyscraper on kind of shaky ground.
I see.
No matter how impressive the structure,
Right.
a weak foundation puts the whole thing at risk.
Yeah.
And the source mentions potential conflicts.
Hmm.
And while it doesn't get into specifics, we can
Okay.
think about things like, territorial disputes, clashes over political ideology,
Right.
maybe even economic rivalries. And these tensions, they could really disrupt,
Yeah.
trade. They could stifle innovation and even, in a worst case scenario, lead to military conflict,
Right.
which would obviously jeopardize all the progress that's been made.
So maintaining peace and stability is, well, it's key for this Asian century to really, take off.
It's essential.
And the analysis highlights this organization,
Yeah.
the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN.
Right.
Says they're a key player in all of this.
Yeah.
So what exactly is ASEAN, and what's their role in this complex geopolitical landscape?
Well, imagine, a group of people, they come from all different backgrounds,
Yeah.
they have different opinions, but they're coming together
Right.
to find common ground, to build a shared future.
Okay.
That's kind of the essence of ASEAN. They act as a mediator,
I see.
fostering dialogue and cooperation among the member nations.
So their role is really about promoting, economic integration
Mm-hmm.
and peacefully resolving disputes. And that's critical for maintaining stability in the region.
Absolutely.
So we've got this, incredibly dynamic situation happening.
Yeah.
On one hand, you have this phenomenal rise of Asia,
Mm-hmm.
driven by smart adaptations, economic growth. But then
Yeah.
on the other hand, you have these underlying tensions and
Mhm.
challenges that could derail everything.
They could.
It's a delicate balance, wouldn't you say?
Very much so.
And understanding all these factors, how they interact, it's crucial for navigating the 21st century.
I agree.
And our analysis also points to some internal challenges that Asia needs to address,
Mm-hmm.
like potential conflicts within the region,
Yes.
environmental concerns,
Right.
the need for sustainable development.
For sure.
And these are issues that, they resonate globally.
They do. It's not just about Asia.
It's not just an Asian story.
Right.
Before we jump into those global implications,
Mm.
let's take a second to reflect on what we've talked about so far.
Sounds good.
It's clear that we're seeing this major power shift.
Yes.
And this shift, it has the potential to reshape everything
Mm-hmm.
from, global economics and technological innovation
Yeah.
to cultural trends
Right.
and even everyday life.
Absolutely.
So stay with us as we explore how this Asian century is impacting, different sectors.
Okay.
And what it might mean for you personally.
Sounds good.
We've been talking about this incredible rise of Asia, but, we've also touched on some of the challenges, some potential problems.
Mm.
But, sometimes challenges actually lead to some pretty amazing innovation, right?
They often do.
Our source material mentions a few internal challenges facing Asia,
Mm-hmm.
including this need for sustainable development.
Right.
So could these challenges, could they actually become catalysts for progress?
What's really fascinating is how these challenges can spark ingenuity.
Mm-hmm.
Take sustainability, for instance. As Asia grows, their demand for energy and resources, it just keeps going up.
Right,
And this puts a strain on the environment, for sure,
right.
but it also creates this powerful incentive to find new solutions.
So instead of looking at these challenges like roadblocks,
Mm-hmm.
we can see them as opportunities for Asia to lead the way in, like sustainable technology and practices,
Exactly.
sort of taking the lead globally.
Yeah, and we're already seeing this happen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in some areas.
Okay.
China, for example, they're investing heavily in renewable energy,
Hmm.
things like solar and wind power.
Interesting.
And they're not just doing this out of, altruism.
Right.
They recognize that there are long-term economic and environmental benefits.
It's almost like they're realizing, hey, we've got this huge population, it's growing, and we can't just rely on the old ways of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Relying on traditional energy just isn't sustainable in the long run.
Right. They need to find new ways to power their economies
Yeah.
and protect their environment at the same time.
And this innovation, it's not just limited to energy, right?
No, not at all.
I mean, think about the challenges of urban planning,
Yeah.
transportation
Mm.
in these rapidly growing megacities.
Oh, absolutely.
They're facing incredible levels of congestion,
Mm-hmm.
pollution,
It's a huge issue.
but they're also becoming these testing grounds
Right.
for the future of urban living.
Yeah, I like that. Testing grounds.
Trying out these innovative public transportation systems, green building practices, smart city technologies, all that stuff.
We often hear about these megacities in a negative light, you know?
Right. Overcrowding, all those problems.
But maybe they're also where we'll see the solutions.
Yeah, the solutions to the problems that everyone's facing.
Exactly.
It's fascinating to think about.
It is.
And it makes me think back to what we were saying about, Western media and how they tend to focus on the problems without, like, acknowledging the innovative solutions coming out of Asia.
It's like we're fixated on a single frame of a movie. We see the challenges, but we miss the bigger story.
Yeah, we miss the dynamism, the resilience of these Asian societies that are, like, tackling these challenges head on.
And that's why it's so important to engage with, like, a variety of perspectives and to challenge our own assumptions, you know?
Yeah, we need to move beyond those simple narratives.
Right.
Recognize the complexity and nuance of what's happening.
Sure.
This isn't about, East versus West or who's winning.
It's not a competition.
It's about recognizing that we're all interconnected. And this Asian century, it's not just an Asian story.
Right.
It's a global story.
Yeah.
It has implications for all of us.
It does.
But how exactly does this Asian rise, how does it affect, our listeners personally?
Okay, well, let's get practical.
Yeah, let's bring it home.
Think about the job market, for example. As Asian economies grow,
Right.
so does their demand for skilled workers.
Makes sense.
And this creates opportunities not just within Asia, but also for people who can bridge the gap between East and West.
I see, like acting as a kind of a cultural liaison.
Yeah, exactly.
So like people with cultural fluency, those who understand the Asian market, they'll have a real advantage in this new landscape. So it's more than just like learning Mandarin or Hindi.
Right.
It's about really understanding Asian cultures
Yeah.
and business practices. It's about navigating different cultural norms,
Well, absolutely.
building relationships across borders.
It's about developing a global mindset.
That's a good way to put it.
And this applies not just to individuals, but to businesses too.
Yeah, okay.
Companies that can tap into the Asian market.
Yeah.
Collaborate with Asian partners. Learn from Asian innovation.
Right.
Those are the companies that will thrive.
So the key takeaway here is that this Asian century, it's not just something we can watch from a distance.
It's not a spectator sport.
It's happening all around us.
It's a dynamic force shaping the world.
And it's happening right now.
Right now.
It's impacting everything.
Everything.
From the job market to the technology we use to the products we buy.
It's all connected.
And this means we all have a role to play.
Yeah, we do.
Whether it's, learning a new language, exploring business opportunities, or even just trying to learn more about Asian cultures and societies.
There are so many ways to engage with this exciting and transformative period in history.
And as we continue to explore these specific impacts of the Asian century,
Yeah.
I want to leave our listeners with this thought.
Okay.
The Asian century, it's more than just economic indicators or geopolitical shifts.
It's about people.
Billions of individuals.
Their own stories.
Their own aspirations.
Their own contributions to make.
It's easy to get lost in those, grand narratives and statistics. But at the heart of it all,
It's about human stories.
stories of innovation, resilience, and people striving for a better future.
And with that in mind, I think it's time we shift our focus to how the Asian century is already making its mark on specific sectors.
Just go.
Starting with, let's talk about technology.
Okay, so we've talked about this, like massive wave of change this Asian century.
Right.
But let's get specific,
Sure.
How is this all playing out in, like, certain areas?
Yeah.
Like technology, for instance. I mean, tech is something that touches all our lives
It does.
in a really big way.
Yeah, I think technology is actually a great way to see the impact of the Asian century.
Oh, okay.
We're seeing these Asian tech giants, companies like Alibaba, Tencent, Samsung.
Right.
They're emerging as like global powerhouses.
Yeah,
Not
we've
just
actually seen that.
competing with, but often, surpassing some of the
Yeah.
big names in Silicon Valley.
It's true. And these companies, they're not just like adapting Western tech anymore. They're innovating, creating solutions for like the specific needs and demands of the Asian market.
For
It's
sure.
not just about catching up. It's about like forging ahead.
Yeah,
I mean, take mobile payments, for
Yeah.
example. In a lot of Asian countries, paying with your phone, it's already like normal.
it is, yeah.
It's like they completely bypassed that whole credit card era that we had in the West.
Absolutely.
And this leap forward it's largely driven by Asian
It
companies.
is.
It's amazing to think about
Yeah.
skipping a whole generation of
I
technology.
do wonder, right?
It does. Like, does this ability to adapt and innovate so quickly, does it give Asian companies an edge
Yeah.
on the global stage?
I think it definitely plays a role.
Yeah.
And this technological, I guess you could say prowess, it extends beyond consumer tech too.
Okay.
We're seeing Asian countries making big strides in fields like
Yeah.
artificial intelligence, robotics, biotechnology.
These are all areas that could, like, completely revolutionize entire industries.
They could.
And Asia's right at the forefront.
They are.
So this isn't just about cool gadgets and apps, or it's about, like, cutting-edge research and development that
Yeah.
could impact, healthcare, manufacturing, even how we interact with the world around us.
Absolutely.
So what are some, like, specific examples of this Asian innovation?
Well, we're seeing breakthroughs in things like
Absolutely.
personalized medicine, where Asian researchers are using AI to develop treatments
Wow.
that are tailored to, a person's genetic makeup.
That's incredible.
In robotics,
Yeah.
we're seeing the development of these advanced automation systems that are transforming manufacturing and logistics.
Right.
And in biotechnology,
Yeah.
Asian companies are leading the way in gene editing and synthetic biology
And these have the potential
to address global challenges like food security, disease.
Wow, it sounds like Asia is becoming like a global hub for technological advancement.
It really is, yeah.
And it's not just concentrated in a few countries, right?
Right.
We're seeing innovation hubs popping up all over the continent, from Singapore and Tokyo
Yeah.
to Bangalore and Shenzhen.
Exactly. This decentralized growth is it's another fascinating aspect of the Asian century. It's not just one or two countries leading the way. It's a whole region.
The whole region is experiencing this wave of, like, technological creativity and entrepreneurial energy.
Absolutely. And this technological interconnectedness, it's amplified by the increasing integration of Asian economies.
Yeah, we hear a lot about China's Belt and Road Initiative.
Right.
This massive infrastructure project connecting Asia to Europe and Africa.
Yeah.
How is that impacting global trade?
Well, the Belt and Road Initiative, it's a perfect example of how Asia is reshaping these global trade routes and forging new economic partnerships. This initiative, along with other regional trade agreements and infrastructure projects.
It's all creating a more interconnected Asian economy.
It is fostering more collaboration, more exchange of ideas.
So if you're a company looking to, expand your business, it seems like Asia has to be part of the plan.
I think so, yeah.
But it's not just about selling products in Asian markets, is it?
No, it's more than that.
It's about recognizing Asia as, like, a source of innovation, a potential partner for collaboration.
It's about learning from Asian companies, sharing knowledge, working together to find solutions that benefit everyone.
Solutions for the whole world.
Yeah.
So whether you're, a student figuring out your career path or an entrepreneur looking for new opportunities, or even just someone trying to understand the world around them, understanding the Asian century, it's crucial.
It is.
It's not just a regional phenomenon. It's a global shift. And it will impact all of us.
Yeah, in big ways.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with this thought.
Sounds good.
The Asian century, it's more than just, economic indicators or geopolitical power plays.
It's about people.
Billions of individuals.
Those dreams and the potential to shape a better future.
It's about recognizing the diversity of Asian cultures and perspectives.
And understanding that the Asian century isn't this, monolithic thing. It's a complex tapestry woven from the experiences and contributions of countless individuals.
So I really encourage everyone listening to, delve deeper. Explore beyond the headlines.
Go deeper.
Engage with this this richness and complexity of this transformative era.
I agree. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the Asian century.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep an open mind.